Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I'm here with my friend, Mr. Mark Reinhard, who is the president of Concepts2Code. How you doing today, Mark?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Beautiful day in Buffalo.
Yeah, fair enough. It sounds like summer is finally going to break through in northern New York.
We do get a good season here. We get a bad rap for our winters, but summers are absolutely beautiful.
Fair statement. Well, I appreciate you coming on and having another conversation with me today. You know, one of the things that you and I get really passionate talking about at various conferences is about the extension of the e-commerce or extension of the online banking experience into the debt collection space. But for anyone who has not been as lucky as me to get to know you through the years, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm definitely like a software nerd at heart. I've been, developing software for forever. And for at least 10 years, I had a software consulting firm where we're doing every different industry you can imagine. And the beauty of that is sort of learning not only building the software, but also the businesses themselves. And after so long of doing that and bouncing from industry to industry and trying to solve their business problems, I had worked for a couple collection agencies and built a few payment portals back before everyone even had them. Collections was very, very different 10, 15 years ago, and definitely 20 years ago. But after sort of seeing the same project at a few different agencies, I decided, well, there's definitely a need, and built a single product and sort of abandoned the consulting theory and started building just a single product and then moving into different agencies and reselling the same product. And what that really gave me an opportunity to do was just build something and then keep building and building and building and making it better over the years versus, consulting is a lot of fun because you see a lot of different things, but you build and leave, build and leave, build and leave. And now we have a fully developed product that's, I don't know, at least 15 years old, of development in it, adding great ideas from all the customers we've worked with. And I feel like that's super rewarding, is to have something that you keep working on it and you just see it getting better and more powerful every year.
Well, speaking of such, right, and talking about the payment portals, I know one of the other things that you're doing over at Concepts2Code is related to the actual communications, right? The emails, the text messages, in order to drive people over to that payment portal. Could you tell everyone a little bit about Concepts2Code and a little bit about your core product?
Yeah, so I mean, the core product truly is, at the end of the day, most people care about how many payments they're getting, but how many payments you're getting are directly related to how many people you are getting to your payment portals or to your agents or to whatever it is. So driving people to make payments is a big part of what we do as well, as far as sending mass emails, sending mass text campaigns, allowing agencies to stitch their systems into ours so that we can be an extension and like a new channel to some and just a more sophisticated channel to others. And that's essentially what we do. We don't try to replace collection systems. We try to be an add-on to different collection systems. And we work with dozens of different systems and provide the same services and really allow them to, change over the years, even though their core CRM might not be evolving fast enough. We're focusing totally on the e-collections and the emails, texts, and payment portals. We keep moving faster, even if the core CRM, that may not be their main focus. And so plugging into one of them and partnering with a handful of them is where we've focused our time.
Okay. Well, and I think that makes a lot of sense, right? It's interesting to see how you've identified this industry as an e-commerce business really so many years ago. And I was just walking around the CRS conference at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas, talking to a lot of people and saying, look, are we ready to admit that the debt collection industry has ultimately become an e-commerce based business, or are we still going to be in denial, right? We see an increase of traffic going to mobile devices. We see an absolute increase of the volume of payments and the dollar volume of those payments that are flowing through online channels versus, through the old standard kind of communication channels. What kind of drove that experience for you and kind of that passion for the extension of the online banking experience into the debt collection space? I know that you did a couple of different projects as a consultant, but how did you kind of string those pieces together into what you've built today?
Well, I mean, the nice part of building online portals is every person has used online portals somewhere. We're all
Mm,
paying bills online. I don't know anyone who's paying all their bills by check or by some maybe by phone, but a majority of people, at least the people we're targeting, and truly
mm,
a vast majority of people are paying online. So a nice little benefit to that is I get to use throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever tons and tons of different portals, paying my Verizon bill, my utility bill, whatever it is, and we get to see all of and see and touch those experiences.
mm.
And what I love to do is anytime I see a portal that where someone is doing something that maybe we didn't think about, we steal that idea. And that's I hate to use the word steal, but essentially that is what it is. We take different ideas from what we've seen, from what our customers have told us, and we package up the best of it. And every
Mm.
time I look at a portal, we're always thinking, how can we make this better? And anytime I have a bad experience, that's a lesson is let's make sure our customers don't have that experience. They can't make a certain type of payment. They can't set up something. It's 20 clicks to get to the payment screen or to log in, or why can't I see my payment that I made 2 days ago? All of those are poor experiences. And on other
Mm.
portals, we have good experiences. So like I said at the beginning, the true advantage is I am a consumer myself. I
Mm.
use different portals, and that like allows us to see and build everything and try to make ours the best. And we always like to think ours the best, but we always acknowledge that there are better ideas out there, and we try to bring them into our portal.
Well, always trying to find that opportunity to incorporate that next level, that next stage, right? Like I think what
Mhm.
originally started off as payment portals has kind of morphed into a consumer portal, right? The ability to download statements, the ability to check balances, right? The ability to function closer online. And I think it also develops a level of trust with the agency or debt buyer that somebody's interacting with because they had this online banking experience when that credit card was active with XYZ Bank. And now that that account is in that post charge off debt collection realm, having those same kind of online features, especially if it was some sort of a fintech originated product, I mean, I feel like that's an essential part of the process now.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of cohesive is a good word. And part of bringing the portal or whatever the consumer portal or payment portal or whatever you want to call it is branding it and making it a seamless experience for the customer. I
Mhm.
think we've also been on those sites where you're on a site and it's beautifully designed and it's a nice site, and then you click make a payment, and all of a sudden it looks like a text box from like 1995. How you really don't want that to happen, but we've all done it where it's like,
Sure.
wow, this portal is clearly a third party portal. Our goal is to tie into every agency that we work with, brand our portal so that it is part of theirs, including using their own domain name that we piggyback off of. So their emails are coming from the agency, the links are going to the agency. There's no third party. As much as we want to promote our own products, we don't
Mhm.
want to promote them to the consumers, the end users. They don't know our company. They know the company that they're going to, and that's really how it should be.
And that's your focal point, right? Is that consumer experience. And I think focusing on that consumer experience demonstrates how this industry has become more and more e commerce based, right?
Yep,
Because it's about
absolutely.
reducing the friction on the entire process from I found you to I paid you in the
Yep.
shortest number of clicks, in the shortest number of attention, in right in the most direct and clean ways possible. And
Hmm.
it looks like, from what I've seen, like you've found some interesting ways to go about kind of understanding what those workflows look like once you've got that consumer into the portal, right? I spend a lot of my time in the search engine optimization, right? So in the search result, when they check the company name, when they first get the letter on the website itself. But even as you start to come off of that website, and once you've got that consumer authenticated to the other side, treating it more like an e commerce level experience, I feel like is a trust developing factor, but is also driving those payments, right? Even understanding abandoned cart rates, for example.
Absolutely. And there is a lot of thought and experimentation that goes into it with every
Mm,
design. It got to be where, there was a long time ago, there was one payment method, then two payment methods, and then three, four, and X. And eventually you end up with the consumers have a ton of options, but it's sort of complicated because they've got too many options.
Mhm.
And that's where you have to look at UI design and things like that, and think about, well, what is the consumer experience? You added all this flexibility, but you got to balance it with
Mhm.
a good interface, and also something that works very well on a phone. And I mean, one of the things that we've redesigned recently is what we call our offers page. And it's, what are the main offers that you want to present? So when the consumer logs in, boom, you have maybe a settlement offer, a pay it off today, get it off your credit report offer, or I can't pay those, I need 12 months to pay. You have pre-packaged offers, and then
Mhm.
boom, 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 3 buttons, nice and easy, and you can customize what they are. On the flip side, you don't want to throw away all those the ability to customize every last detail of the
Mhm.
arrangement. It's more about downplaying that. As it turns out, people were confused if you give them too many offers. So there's always a little bit of balance that goes in. And I mean, this is what all user design is.
Mhm.
You've got new ideas, and they build and build and build, and eventually you kind of need to look at it as a whole, and then possibly change it up a little bit. And that's just one of the examples of something we worked on specifically. But it was to have prepackaged offers, so it's less clicks to get to your payment screen. But if the user truly wants to dig, those options are still available to them. So you have advanced, it's like any software system where there's advanced options. You
Mhm.
need to click and go to them, because only a small percentage of your consumers are looking for those. Most of those want to be in, out, make their payment, and move on.
It's
Designed for them.
less clicks between I found you and I paid you, right? Condensing that
Absolutely.
process as much as possible, I think, is a an essential part of this process for identifying those opportunities to move those things forward. Now, even once you've got someone who's maybe falling off in the process of moving forward to a collection, being able to communicate back up to them, and how are you bringing them back into the process? We've seen this massive push towards mobile, right? Like originally,
Mhm.
really prior to COVID, we were looking at, let's call it 40% mobile traffic. Post COVID, we were looking at 60, 70%. You go another year or two, I'm looking at aggregate, probably 80% mobile traffic on the collection agency and debt buyer websites that I'm watching, which is hundreds of them. And
Yep.
just seeing that shift, right? And really being able to focus on that mobile first. I always love the exercise of telling a CEO to, like, pull out your phone, search for the name of your company, work your way through. Okay, now click on your make a payment button. Okay, now go, but do it from your phone. Like, take your phone
Mhm.
out and actually walk your way through the cycle. And it's interesting to see how many people are surprised through that exercise.
Yeah, and we do almost the exact same thing, except with an email. We shoot
Hmm.
them an email. You're the consumer. I just sent you an email. See if you can get in and make a payment. So hopefully they can click something in that. They're presented with only questions that they will know. They don't need to go to another source. If you have to go to another source, forget about it.
Hmm.
If you have to go downstairs for, and I mean, that's one of the reasons you lose people on two-factor authentication. That they're just
Yeah.
like, it's too annoying. My phone's in the other room, and I'm on my desktop. And as silly as that sounds, every percentage point is important in collections. So you want to take those into effect, and you want to make sure that you're not presenting any unnecessary barriers. There's
Hmm.
obviously reasonable compliance, and that's why we have a million different options as to what level you want to ensure that the person is entering the correct information or accessing only their account. But you can sort of make those decisions based on your client requirements and your business needs.
Well, it sounds like you're doing some A/B testing to better understand it. I love the idea of showing a few or a smaller number of prepackaged offerings, and I think you can look, as an example to the success of that tool set. You can look even at the McDonald's dollar menu and look at how
Mhm.
that, right, when we were in the 90s, right, there was 30 options on that menu, and over time it's condensed, condensed, condensed. And the same reason when you look at, like, the options for McDonald's, in a store, and then looking at it in an airport, and the
Mhm.
limitation again to those menu options is because decision paralysis is a real thing. If you give someone too many options, it takes them significantly longer to weigh the options and reduces the probability of them actually making a selection.
Mhm. And that's a tough thing for people to truly understand. Like, you never want to take away options, but sometimes you may have to for the betterment of the whole. It's
Mhm.
just, you don't want to lose people because there's too many options for most of your consumers, just to give those options to a few consumers who have special circumstances. And that's the beauty of each agency having their own portal. They can sort of make those decisions on them. Do you want to give one option, two options, three options? Do you want to have minimums? Do you want to take this type of payment, that type of payment? Whatever they want to do, we provide the options so that they can, pick which ones they want to use. Obviously, we provide a lot of advice along the way, and we recommend and we tell people, we see most agencies going this route or going this route, or people used to do this, but now we're seeing more of this. And that's part of the fun. It goes me back to when I used to consult. I would go to a bunch of different companies and learn the best practices of each one. We work with so many different agencies. We can take the good and the bad and help our customers who really want to succeed by recommending all the good that we see elsewhere.
Well, that is also a very interesting point. That was always our motto at ComplyArm when we were building out the platform. We would always tell our clients that, like, look, we love all your ideas. Give us all your ideas. And if we're able to add these to the platform for everybody, we're happy to build these at no cost. However, if you want this custom thing built just for you, this is the development cost in order to build it. And I can't even think of a single time where somebody actually paid for the custom development, and it became a place where everybody was working together for the betterment of their organizations and for the industry, but without necessarily knowing who they were working with.
Yep. And any software system should be adding new features on and on. I mean, that's why you don't build your own, because you use a platform like ours where we continually release new features. We continually reach out and make sure you're using the features, or at least aware they're there. Because obviously not everyone can learn every single feature, but part of it is having the option. And I can't tell you how often we're talking to a customer and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that was there." And that's because no one's expected to read all of our knowledge base and help articles and learn every feature, but we want to make sure that they're aware that things are there, even if they don't have the time to implement them right now, and they may come a time down the road.
Well, I've been making the joke lately, and I'm sure that you can understand it. I've never met an IT organization in this industry that has enough bandwidth.
Yeah, that is for sure.
It just hasn't happened my whole time in this industry. It's almost 20 years now. I've never once walked into an IT group and had them be like, "Yeah, we have all the resources that we need. Like, we're good."
Yeah,
Everything's
I've never heard those words strung in the same sentence.
I thought you would enjoy that, though, right?
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
And for those of you that are watching, if you want to hear more about this, we're going to be giving that presentation at the ACA annual conference, talking specifically about e-commerce and the application of e-commerce expertise and e-commerce knowledge to the debt collection industry, because even though if we don't want to admit it, we are an e-commerce business. Mark, but I really want to thank you for coming on and having a chat with me today. This was fun as usual. I appreciate you coming back on.
Cool, thanks. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Diego, and we'll be up on talking about the same thing at that point with a lot more people.
And a lot more data, because I've got a whole bunch of information being prepared for that presentation so that we can drive some numbers behind the conversation that we're having. And then obviously we'll reshare some of that information here as well. But for those of you that are watching, if you have additional questions you'd like to ask Mark or myself, you can leave those in the comments on LinkedIn and YouTube, and we'll be responding to those just as quickly as we can. Or if you have additional topics you'd like to see us discuss, you can leave those in the comments below. And hopefully I can get Mark to come back at least one more time to help me continue to create great content for a great industry. But until next time, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
Thanks, everyone.